Namaskar and welcome everybody to today's Gita Satsang. So let us get started with the Prarthana. By the Guru's grace and the will of Sri Krishna, we have all assembled for this Gita Satsang. May we have their guidance to be able to learn and adopt the things which will help us to grow spiritually. Let us chant the shlokas. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnaya Vasudevaya Haraye Paramatmane Pranatah Kleshanashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Ullara Vindaya Tapatra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipah Ramanujadaya Patram Jnana Vairagyabhushanam Srimad Venkatanathaaryam Vande Vedanta Deshikam Yo Nityamachyuta Padambuja Yugma Rukma Vyamohatastaditarani Trinaya Mene Asmadguror Bhagavatosya Dayaika Sindhoho Ramanujasya Charanau Sharanam Prapadye. So, with prayers at the lotus feet of the Acharyas, let us start our satsang topic. So, in the last satsang, we have completed the last 47th shloka of the first chapter. So, today, what we are going to do is, because we've been doing this, like today is the 27th of the Gita satsang. So, today, what we will do is, we will just summarize what all we saw in the first chapter. And once we do the summary, then in the next satsang, we will start with the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So this chapter 1, as we know, it is called as Arjuna Vishada Yoga. So it is a chapter in which Arjuna is expressing his miserable state of mind, or he's lamenting and he's feeling distressed about whatever is happening. So the highlight, the focus in this chapter is on what are the emotions going through the mind of Arjuna. So we will just summarize each of the shlokas, what all it talked about. So in the first shloka, we saw how the scene began with Dhritarashtra asking questions to Sanjaya about what is happening on the Kurukshetra battlefield. So there we saw that Dhritarashtra is asking his question in a way such that it is very clear that he says Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva. So he says, what are my sons and the sons of Pandu doing? So it's very clear that he is partial towards his own sons, and actually his desire is that his sons should win the battle. But then he is worried about whether the Kurukshetra is known as Dharma Kshetra. So will there be some, he is hoping that maybe Yudhishthira and the Pandavas in that Dharma Kshetra, they will feel that, okay, why should we fight? And they will run away. They'll go give up the fight. Or he is worried that what if my sons also get some good, Dharma Buddhi, and because of that, they say, no, we will not fight. So he is worried about the outcome. And he is asking questions to Sanjay that, okay, both the armies have assembled on the battlefield. What did they do? What did all of them do? So then in the second shloka, we saw about how Duryodhana approached Dronacharya. And then the next shlokas from number 3 to 11, they are the conversation of Duryodhana, where he talks to Dronacharya and he assesses the strength of both the armies. He compares. He says they are having all these warriors on their side. We are having all these warriors on our side. And we talked about how through that, whatever Duryodhana is saying, he is actually expressing his fear. Like he knew that the Pandavas will have some people to support them, but he did not expect that they will be able to put up such a good opposition to his army. So he is quite shaken up by seeing that all those people have come to support the Pandavas. And then he is worried because he thinks in his mind that Bhishmacharya, Dronacharya, they actually have lot of affection for the Pandavas. So he's worried, will they fight sincerely from my side, or will their love for the Pandavas, make them compromise and they will not really fight with wholeheartedness, and because of that my side will lose. So he is worried. Also we saw how the acharyas have told that if somebody has done wrong, then even if they don't accept it outwardly, but in their mind that conscience will be guilty. They know that what they have done is wrong, and that fear of consequence now Duryodhana is feeling. He did not think about what will be the outcome when he did all those harmful activities to trouble and torture the Pandavas. But now, when it is time for the Yuddha, he starts thinking about what will be the outcome. Will our army be sufficient to counteract theirs? And so on. Then we saw in the 12th shloka how it was um, the signaling of the Yuddha, that now it is time for Yuddha, by blowing the Shankha. So first Bhishma from the Kaurava side, he blows the Shankha. Then all the other Kaurava warriors, they all blow their Shankha. And at that time, there is loud noise, no doubt, but it does not affect the Pandavas. However, from Shloka 14 to 18, there is a description of how Lord Krishna and Arjuna first they blow their Shankha from the Pandava side, and all the other Pandava warriors also blow their Shankhas. So we know about how Lord Krishna's Shankha is called Panchajanya. And we also talked about how actually that Shankha came to Krishna. So, like this, when the conscious of Krishna and the Pandava side are blown, mainly Krishna's Shankha when he blows, it causes lot of fear in the mind of the Kaurava army. So, it is told that the Lord has two major instruments, weapons, or you can look at them as weapons, or you can look at them as adornment, abharana, we can say ayudha, or we can say abharana, the Lord has in his hands. One is the Sudarshana Chakra, and the other one is the Panchajanya Shankha. So both these, depending on what is our attitude towards the Lord, we will see it either as ayudha or we will see it as abharana. If we are a bhakta of the Lord, if we are having bhakti towards Lord, then we will say that these are abharana for the Lord. They are adornments. They are something which are enhancing the beauty of the Lord. But if we are not in the, what you say, in that side, on that side of the bhaktas, if we are the opposite party, if we are enemies of the Lord, or we are enemies of the Lord's bhaktas, whatever it may be, then these same Shankha and Chakra will evoke fear in our minds. So when Krishna blows his Shankha, there is a lot of noise which is created by all the Pandava Shankhas also blowing. So the loud roar of these people's Shankhas, it creates a total chaos and fear in the mind of the Kaurava army. So that we talked about. Then, now once all these Shankha blowing, everything has been set, not only Shankas are blown, all those other kettle drums and other sounds and all our Bheri, Vadya, everything is sounded. So it signals that, okay, now Yuddha is going to start. And everybody is just waiting to see what is going to happen now. At that point of time, Arjuna decides that he wants to see who is there on both the sides. And he orders Krishna that take me in between both the armies. Senayor Rubhayor Madhye Ratham Sthapaya Mechuta. O Achyuta, take my chariot, take my Ratha to the place where I can see both sides who all have come. Now, then from 25th to 25th and 26th verses, the shlokas describe how Arjuna is seeing who all are there on the other side. He sees Bhishma, he sees Dronacharya, he sees all his other acharyas, he sees his people who are his uncles, people who are his fathers in law, people who are his mamas. He sees all his relatives. And although he knew that lot of people are going to come to support Duryodhana, it didn't impact him at that time. But now, when actually he sees all these people standing on the other side, ready to fight against him, that creates emotional, tumultuous nature in his mind. He gets totally upset, and he's like suddenly struck by the thought that, oh, all these people, they are my own people, and they have come now here to fight, and we are going to fight against them. And in this yuddha, definitely it is a do or die kind of yuddha. So whatever we do, we have to fight to get what is our right. And if we do that, that means we are going to kill all these people who are our own kinsmen. So that affects him very strongly. And from 27 to 30th shloka, Arjuna expresses what is happening to him, how he has lost his calmness, how his composure is totally destroyed. All along, Arjuna came, even when he told that take my ratha to the middle of the armies, he was so confident that I am going to fight and we will win this battle. And even we said at one point of time that Hanuman is there on the dhwaja of Arjuna's ratha. And then we said that Madhava, the Lord of Lakshmi, Krishna himself is there. So definitely it is guaranteed that Arjuna and the Pandavas are going to win the war. But now looking at all the other people on the other side, Arjuna suddenly loses his confidence. And he says, Gandivam Sramsate Hastat. The Gandiva is slipping from my hands, he says. My skin is burning. My hair is standing on end. And I am not, my Brahmati Vachame Manaha, my mind is getting all, it is in total state of confusion. I'm not understanding what is happening to me. And this state he has come to because he's totally now realizing what is going to be the severe outcome, the dreadful outcome of this fight. And then from shloka number 31 to 44, Arjuna expresses to Krishna that I am not ready to fight in this war. And one by one, he goes on giving the different reasons for why he doesn't want to fight the war. He says, first, these are our own people, they are our relatives. Now, just for the sake of Rajya, just for the sake of enjoying Sukha, should I go and kill these people? Is it correct on our part to kill our own relatives because we want the Rajya out of greed for that? Then he asks Krishna that, okay, we are come here to fight, and we are thinking that by getting this Rajya, we will be sukhi, we will be happy. But what is the use of this whole thing? I want to do everything which will please my guru, which will please Bhishmacharya, who is our great grandfather. And if in the Yuddha they are only going to be killed, and I have to destroy them and their families and the entire Kuru clan, then what sukha I will get? What happiness I will get by going through this fight? Then he says, by doing such an act, we will get papa. And when it is questioned that what about the other side, they have done so many wrong things to you, they have indulged in so many criminal activities, they have committed such great sins, and because of that what they have done is papa. So Arjuna says maybe what they have done is papa, but what we are going to do is mahat papa, because I know definitely that when I fight, the outcome is going to be that we will win and they will lose, and they will lose means that is going to involve killing all of them. So I knowingly, how can I do this wrong? How I can do an action which is going to get me papa and push me to Naraka? Not only that we will go to Naraka for this ghor papa that we are going to do, but even living on this earth itself is going to be like Naraka for us. Because when our loved ones have all gone away, when they have all been killed, when everything is, happening in this manner, what is the joy that we will be able to get? So it will be like living in Naraka only for us, he says. And then he talks about how if they kill all the other people, then those kulas will get destroyed. Then the kula dharma will go down. Then when the ladies in that kula don't follow the moral practices, then the entire kula will suffer. How there will be nobody to do the kriyas, the whatever rituals have to be performed for the ancestors who have passed away. And then when they don't do that, those ancestors will also not get the gati they are supposed to get. They will all also fall. And all this is ultimately going to result only in um, unwanted consequences. So he says, because of all these reasons, oh Krishna, I don't want to fight. And finally, he declares that it is better, instead of me going and fighting against all these people, yes, they have come here to fight. I have realized that it is wrong of me to fight, and but they have not realized it. So if they come to kill me also, I will not arm myself. I will not try to defend myself. And I am totally not in favor of fighting against them. So I will just sit quietly, let them come, and even if they kill me, that is the better option. It is better that I should be killed in this war rather than that I should win over all these people and kill all of them and become Raja of this kingdom. So finally, when he comes to this state, he is now totally worked up. So he throws aside the bow, his Gandiva he puts aside, and he sits down desperately in the chariot and declares that, "Oh Krishna, I am not going to fight the war." And by telling this state of Arjuna, Sanjaya conveys to Dhritarashtra that this is what happened. Arjuna has now put off his bow and he is sitting dejectedly in the Ratha, claiming that he is not going to fight. So we have seen in this summary that how it started with the scene before the war started. The armies have assembled. Dhritarashtra is questioning Sanjaya. Then we went through all the actions that happened in between. And now finally we have reached the stage where Arjuna has declared that I am not going to fight. So what is the overall, if you want to summarize this, the Sri Vaishnava Acharya Swami Yamunacharya, who was the guru, who was the Acharya of Swami Ramanujacharya, has composed a work called Geetartha Sangraha, where in 32 shlokas he has given the concise meaning of every chapter, of every stage in the Bhagavad Gita. So in his Geetartha Sangraha, Swami Yamunacharya has given what is the essence of this first chapter. So he's written Asthana Sneha Karunya Dharma Dharma Dhiyakulam Partham Prapanna Muddhisya Shastravasaranam Kritam. So he says that in this first chapter, what has happened now? Arjuna was overwhelmed by compassion. We talked in the last few satsangs about how Arjuna's losing his composure, Arjuna feeling dejected and depressed is not because of fear that they will lose, but rather it is because he is having karuna for the other side. He is having compassion. But one thing we must understand, it is good to have compassion. But here, what the Acharya is pointing out is that Arjuna's mind was overwhelmed by compassion, which is a good quality. But for whom was Arjuna showing this compassion? For those people who did not merit that compassion, for those people who did not deserve that compassion. Because we already saw when we were discussing about the activities of the Kauravas that who is an Atatayi, somebody who commits atrocities and who deserves to be killed. So all those actions that put somebody in the category of Atatayi, setting fire to someone else, trying to murder somebody else, giving poison to kill them, misbehaving with their wife. So all these actions qualify somebody to be called as Atatayi. The Kauravas had done all of this. So they were fit to be punished by fighting in the war. But Arjuna did not want to fight. He felt compassion for them. Did the Kauravas deserve that compassion? They did not deserve. So Arjuna felt compassion, but those people for whom he felt compassion, they did not deserve his karuna. Now, what happened to Arjuna in this process of losing his mental, calmness? He got confused. Now he doesn't know what is dharma, what is adharma, and he is totally taken over by sorrow. That grief, that shloka, has taken over his ability to think and to discriminate. His manas has overcome his buddhi. So the manas or the mind is swayed by emotion. The intellect or the buddhi is the entity which is supposed to have viveka shakti, and that intellect is supposed to discriminate between what is right, what is wrong, what is dharma, what is adharma. But what has happened to Arjuna is he has, because his mind is overcome by sorrow, that buddhi has got clouded and he is now confused about what is dharma, what is adharma. What I am doing, is it right to fight this war or it is not right to fight this war? Now he has taken his own decision. Now his mind is swirling. It is totally, running here and there in this high wind of grief. Why? Because he thinks that he will have to kill his acharyas. He has to kill all his friends. He has to kill his own family people. So in this status, what he does, he declared that he will not fight because he knows that the loss of these people is going to happen. He knows what will be the outcome of this war, and he thinks that losing all those people is going to cause unbearable sorrow to him. So he does not want to fight in a war where he has to kill them. So this is the brief essence of this first chapter. So now we will next go and see what is it that in all these satsangs, when we have talked about these different shlokas of the first chapter, we saw certain take home messages. So we will just review all those also so that we are now clear about what learning we can take from the further chapters. Because until now, all this first chapter, it has been like kind of a story. It is a description of events that have been happening, and there is some activity going on, and it is nice to listen to, and you can make out that okay, all this is happening. But the chapter which is going to come next, the second chapter, is not going to be so easy or so simple. It is going to talk about certain concepts which are new to us and which hold a lot of value for us to learn from. So some of the theories which we have right now will be challenged by that second chapter. But anyway, by Krishna's grace, we will be able to learn and understand and accept those slowly. But before we go to that chapter, so today, since we are doing a review of the first chapter, let us just again summarize what were the messages that we took in all these shlokas for practical application in our own life. So, in the first shloka, when we talked about this Dhritarashtra, we said that Dhritarashtra was blind in his affection for his son, and because of that, he always supported the son, and that led to the entire string of events which resulted in this war. So if only Dhritarashtra had corrected his son well in when he was a small child and put an end to that wrongdoing, then this outcome would not have happened. So many times what we do is we are blinded to the faults of people. If we like somebody, then we don't tell them about their wrongs, or we don't point out what they are doing wrong. So our attachment, if it makes us blind to the faults of the people around us, then that can lead to wrong outcomes. So that is something we learned, that how we must learn to see, even if they are somebody whom we love very much, if they are doing something wrong, then we must be ready to point out those things and try and help them to correct whatever they are doing wrong. Then we talked about how now on the Kurukshetra battlefield, there are Pandava side and Kaurava side. The Kaurava side has been consistently doing wrong. The Pandava side with Krishna on their side, they are smaller in number, their army is smaller in size, and yet because Krishna is with them, they are going to win this war. So even within us, there is a Kurukshetra. Every time we have an impulse to do something good, that is like the Pandava side, and every time we have a impulse to do something wrong, then that is like the Kaurava side. Now, who is going to fight? Who is going to win in this fight between the good and bad tendencies depends on whether we have Krishna with us or not. So, keeping the Lord in our heart, keeping Him in our mind, and constantly remembering Him is going to help us always stay on the right track. Then we also talked about how this whole thing of the ratha, that there is a chariot, there is a wooden part of the chariot, there are the animals of the horses which are driving the chariot, there are the reins which are controlling the horses, there is somebody who is sitting in that chariot, right? And there is somebody who is driving the chariot. So like this, if our if the Paramatma who is Antaryami within us, if we make him the driver of our chariot, right? Our body is the chariot. If we give over the drivership to the Antaryami Paramatma and the reign of our mind, if we hold, the horses are like our mind and our senses. So if we give the reins to him, then he will definitely try drive us towards victory. But if we give our, if the reins are given into the hands of our manas, then it will definitely drive us only wherever the sense organs are taking us. So it is important to keep the Lord always in our heart. Then we saw that there are many people who came to support Yudhishthira. There are many people who came to support Duryodhana. The people who came to support the Pandavas, they had a good outcome. They stood by the side of Dharma. So also in our life, whenever there is a conflict, then we must always make sure that we stand on the side of Dharma. It is that many people who came to fight in the war, they died, yes. But did you die for the sake of dharma, or you died fighting on the side of adharma? That will decide where your atma is going to go next. So it is important for us in our life. We don't have battles where we are fighting, as a matter of life and death. But whatever situation is there, we must always try to fight for the side of dharma. Then we talked about the concept of Samanya Dharma and Vishesha Dharma. This we will take up in little more detail in some other satsang. Right now, I will just mention this, that in some situations, we have to follow what is the Vishesha Dharma for that situation rather than the Samanya Dharma. Then we talked about Kapidwaja, how on the Dwaja of Arjuna's Ratha, there is Hanuman. So remembering the qualities of Hanuman when we are in trouble can help us to get the strength that Hanuman had, can help us to feel enthusiastic just like Hanuman. And that will help us in overcoming whatever difficulties we have. Right? Then we saw how Krishna, who is the Sarveshwara, he is the owner and the lord of this entire universe, but he has become Sarathi for Partha. He is sitting there as Partha Sarathi. He is sitting as the charioteer of Arjuna, and Arjuna is signaling to him by putting his feet on his shoulders. He is kicking the Lord's shoulder, left shoulder, to say turn to the left, or right side to turn to the right, and all this. How much the Lord is there and ever willing to serve his devotees because he loves his bhakta. So we must try to be a bhakta of the Lord. We don't want to kick the Lord, but we want definitely to have an opportunity to be bhakta of the Lord, so that the Lord also has love for us. Then we talked about all these relations who have assembled on the field. Arjuna is feeling bad, thinking that they are my acharya, they are my grandfather, they are my uncles, they are my fathers-in-law, and all that. But in the real sense, who is the true relation that we have? Who is which is the only permanent relationship that we have? Only our relation with the Lord is ever permanent. All other relationships, they come, they go. We are here today, we are gone tomorrow. But only our relationship with the Lord will remain constant, and it has remained constant through all the janmas that we have taken. So we must do the maximum we can to cement and make that relationship stronger. Then we talked about how Arjuna is now feeling all this confusion because his mind has been overcome by emotion. So if we let emotion gain the upper hand, then our intellect will stop functioning. If we are going to get carried away by our emotions, then our actions will not be the best possible. So we must learn to stay calm and think out through our intellect rather than just acting on the basis of what our emotion feels, right? Then we also talked about how um, now it is as if Arjuna's buddhi intellect has been covered by a covering. So what are those coverings? They are the shadripu. So we also have divine qualities within us because the atma is there, but yet that those divine qualities are completely covered up, they are veiled because the shadripu are covering. And if we want to manifest those divine qualities, we must cleanse ourselves. And how that cleansing is going to be done, how that shuddhikarana, that purification will happen, only when we constantly do japa, keep doing kirtan, keep listening to the Lord's katha, keep singing his glories, then gradually we will become more and more pure. Then we talked about how Arjuna's response was, although the Kauravas behaved badly with them, yet he only felt karuna for them. So, how are we responding when people behave badly with us? Are we retaliating in the same way? Are we saying, okay, an eye for an eye and like that, and we are also, taking revenge on them? Or are we trying to understand that and forgive people for the wrong things? So that way we need to introspect. And when we do this introspection, we will be able to make progress in our sadhana. Then about the Kula Dharma. Are we behaving in a manner which befits the family which we come from? Our actions, are they such that they are going to bring glory to our family? Whatever practices are there in our family, are we carrying those forward in the best way possible? Are we making sure that we are not diluting the family dharma? These are things we need to pay attention to. Then we talked about how whatever is there in the Shastra, that is an expression of what the Lord wishes. What is it that will make the Lord happy? And what is it that will make the Lord unhappy? If we do the actions which are told in the Shastra says, do this. or Shastra says, don't do this. So if we follow that we do what is told to be done and we don't do which is told not to be done, then the Lord will be happy. But if we don't follow that, if we do what Shastra says don't do, and if we don't do what Shastra says to do, then we are going against Shastra. So if we don't follow what the Shastra tells, then that will earn the displeasure of the Lord. The Lord will be feeling bad that we are not following what his wish is. So if we want to get to moksha, we want to get to the Lord, then the only thing we need to do is we need to understand what is the wish of the Lord. Now we don't have any direct communication channel with God. So only thing we know is what is told in the Vedanta, what is told in the Vedas, in the Upanishads. They are all there. The Puranas, everything is there to tell us what is it that the Lord expects from us. So if we align our life and all our actions in our life to be in line with what Shastra is telling, if we follow what is told in the Shastra, then we will be earning the pleasure of the Lord. And when the Lord is happy with us, He will do all and anything and everything possible to make sure that we reach Him. So that is the way by which we can make sure that we go to moksha. And then we said that we must consider the impact of our action not only on ourselves but also on people around us. If I'm doing some particular act, what is it going to impact the other people? Don't think selfishly only about is it good for me, is it bad for me, but overall on my family, on Samaja, what is going to be the effect of our actions? We need to think about that also. Because Arjuna is thinking about all that only, he is saying that I don't want to fight. He is not considering that he will win the Rajya. He is not wanting that. But he is saying that the impact on society will be negative, so I will not fight. Similarly, we must also think. And then we talked about how we must confide whenever there is some kind of a trouble that we are in some kind of distress. Then at that time, we must confide in somebody. Just like Arjuna spoke and expressed his thoughts and feelings to Krishna. Similarly, we must also find someone with whom we can talk out whatever is our distress so that they can guide us and we can get some idea of how to go further. Now, worldly people, our relations, our friends, our well wishers, we don't know whether they will be, capable always of guiding us. But the Lord is always there. So whether we have worldly people to guide us and as our confidant or not, definitely we must make the Lord our confidant. So what we must do is whatever we have in our mind, through the process of prayer, through the process of prarthana, we must talk to God and express our thoughts, our doubts, our confusions, or even ask Him for guidance. And definitely through some madhyama or the other, He will make it possible for us to have the guidance that we are seeking. So we must take some kind of activity as a form of regular sadhana, whether it is namasmarane, whether it is writing down namajapa, whether it is singing bhajans of the Lord, whether it is listening to pravachanas, whatever it may be. The Lord is always there to help us. That confidence we have to build up in our own minds. And by doing that, we will get to a stage where we will feel the impact of the Lord in all our daily activities also. So far we have covered in all these satsangs the first chapter of the Gita. So now we have come to this stage where we have tried to understand what was the status of Arjuna, how he felt depressed, what were the reasons for him feeling depression, and we understood that although his compassion for other people was making him feel that he doesn't want to fight, that compassion was misplaced. It was given to people who did not deserve that. Now, what should be the attitude of Arjuna actually? How Arjuna is supposed to look at this entire situation? That is what the Lord is going to start explaining in the second chapter. So, with this, we will stop for today the satsang, and in the next week's satsang, we will start with the second chapter. So, let us now offer Kritagnyata and we will stop for today. Next time we will start with the second chapter. So I hope we understood the gist of all this that we discussed in the first chapter. Now we have seen many lessons that we can learn from Arjuna's attitude. We said we should have compassion like Arjuna. We said we should feel pity for other people like Arjuna. But that does not mean that like Arjuna, we should say, I am not going to fight. when there is a need to fight, we need to fight. But what should be the attitude with which we are going to do the fight? That is important. And that is not so easy to get the right attitude. So for that, Krishna is going to explain that how you must look at all these conflicts. What is it that you should take into account? Arjuna is feeling that he's going to kill his own people. But what is it actually that is going to get killed? Is it the Sharira? Is it the Atma? What is the Sharira? What is the Atma? How are they different from each other? What is it that differentiates the body and the soul? How our focus should be on the soul and not on the body. So all these very great, very deep concepts are going to be there in the second chapter. So now we will offer Kritagnyata that by God's grace, by Krishna's grace, by his karuna, we have come to the end of the first chapter. And we will also pray for his guidance and his blessing that we should be able to study the second chapter also as effectively and be able to understand. That I should be able to explain, that I should be able to understand correctly, that I should be able to express and explain it in the satsang, and that all of us should be able to make sense of what is being told and find practical application for our own life also. So let us offer Kritagnyata, gratitude, at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna and Guru for inspiring us to start and join this satsang. Let us pray for their blessings and grace to always be on us. So thank you everybody for attending the satsang today. You've been along in this journey ever since the past so many months. And today is the 27th satsang, so I think we started this in June, on the 14th of June, as per my diary. 14th of June, we started the Gita Satsang with the introduction. And from that day till now it's been 6 months. That means a little more than 6 months. We've been together and we've been studying all this by the Lord's grace. Let His Anugraha be there. Let His Kripa be there. And with that Kripa only, we will go ahead and study the next few chapters also. So thank you everybody, and we will meet again next Tuesday. Next Tuesday is going to be Vaikunta Ekadashi. Not Tuesday, sorry, next Monday will be Vaikunta Ekadashi. If I am able to, then we will see if we can have the satsang on that day itself. If for any other reasons like certain biological causes, I may not be able to, and I don't know exactly. Let us see whatever is God's plan, and accordingly we will decide that. I will inform you anyway of what is the plan. If whatever it may be, even if we are not able to have the satsang on the day of Vaikunta Ekadashi, please make the attempt and effort to involve as much as possible in Namajapa, in chanting Bhagavad Geeta, in chanting Vishnu Sahasranama, and or singing bhajans or listening to pravachana on that day. Try as much, definitely go to the temple and pray and try to be as much in the Lord's Sanidhya as much as possible. Keep the thought of God constantly in our mind. If we are able to do upvasa and fast, it is definitely very good. Even if we can't follow physically the upvasa, what is the meaning of upavasa? That you upavasa, you stay close. Close to whom? Close to the Lord. So keep the God's name always in your mind. Keep chanting as much as possible. And that way we will get all the benefit of having followed the Ekadashi Vrata. So let us meet again next week. Namaskar. Thank you so much.